Hi, everybody. This is Bruce Schutin with One World Initiative, and our guest today is Autumn Strier, who is CEO and co-founder of Miracles for Kids. Autumn, it is such a pleasure to have you here. And technically, it is still autumn, isn't it? We're not in winter yet.
Technically, you are correct. I think it's until the 21st.
Exactly. So I want to start by asking, when and why did you co-found this nonprofit organization? And what got you interested in pursuing this area?
Well, thank you so much for having me. First and foremost, I think that I've always wanted to be in a position of service ever since I was a little girl. So the way that it manifested in my life has resulted in Miracles for Kids starting nearly 20 years ago, which honestly feels like, you blink your eye and all of a sudden you're decades in to something that you love to do that helps to define you and your role in the world. And I really felt that, I could embrace that reality, that idea that, others in need could benefit from my time, my resources. And so I actually went to school for it and have enjoyed doing it really most of my life.
Mm. Well, it really does take a village to raise a child, doesn't it? Which had come up many years ago in the presidential uh, elections. And I know that that's a powerful concept when you get right down to it. So tell us how Miracles for Kids is different from Make-A-Wish.
Sure. Well, we love everyone at Make-A-Wish. You know, the goal with Miracles for Kids is really to solve a problem that existed in the Southern California community when I started it in 2004. And if we sort of jump back to what I mentioned, that teacher that helped me in seventh and eighth grade, my co-founder is actually her younger brother, who at the time I became close to because that teacher hired me to be a babysitter. So fast forward, he has a mortgage company doing wonderful things in Orange County. This is 2004, so you're right in the bubble there. And he was incredibly busy. I had just moved from New York back to Southern California. I was a lobbyist for the National MS Society, helping individuals with handicap who need assistance in the community, and loved it. But when I moved here, he thought, oh my gosh, here's somebody who's already knee deep in nonprofit field. And he said, I have a tax ID letter, but we're so busy, there's nothing I can do with it. Would you like to take it and build a nonprofit out of it? So that's sort of the genesis of the idea, was helping someone. Then the question was, what kind of mission? So I actually was pregnant with my second child. I have three. And my second one had stopped growing in utero. And it was, we almost lost her. Her name is Charlotte. She's great now. But I became a patient at Chalk Children's, which is the local children's hospital. And it was there and through relationships that I learned that families with critically ill children have an extraordinarily difficult time remaining stable while they're caring for their child, which is the genesis of Miracles for Kids.
Mm, what a story. How many families have you helped, and how much money have you been able to raise? And is this for just critically ill kids, or is this terminally ill kids, or a combination thereof?
Critically can become terminal. So yes, both of those things count. We support families who have a child battling a life-threatening illness or condition. So about 60% of the time that's cancer, but that other 40% of the time, and it varies year over year, also includes organ disease and other rare or orphan diseases, which can be blood-based but treated with chemotherapy, and all of those rare diseases, which honestly neither you nor I could probably pronounce because they're so long and no one's ever heard of them. And of course, that means that no one's supporting them, because if you haven't heard of it, then a community hasn't gotten together to raise funds to support it. So we try to pull all of those together and support any family that fits into one of those buckets.
And how much money have you been able to raise?
So about 50 million, 50, in
That's
the
a big
20
number.
years. Yeah, it is. It's It's a blessing, honestly, because we turned right around and we use it to stabilize families. Right now, we have about 380 families on any given day that we are supporting. So nearly 2,000 individuals across the West Coast, most of whom are in treatment in Southern California, but can live outside of the state. They can live in Central California and have to drive down. We have a lot of families living in the Bay Area. Where you live isn't necessarily close to a physician that is right for your child's treatment. So there's a lot of travel that's involved.
Hmm. Now, I know that you're based in Southern California in Orange County, and you work with 7 hospitals in California. But are there plans to build a national or even an international network of facilities and go outside the border of the US, work with other countries?
So I think for right now, we do have we have families in treatment and in Arizona and Phoenix. We are going to be supporting families in Texas in this coming year. We're blessed that as our donors move to different regions of the United States, they still feel very drawn to our mission and to the desire to help. So they start grassroots efforts or fundraising events. In fact, we had one board member whose family and company about 3 years ago moved over to Texas, and now he's doing annual fundraisers benefiting Miracles for Kids. And so we're able to now extend our support opportunities to Dallas Children's. So we're excited about that as the new year comes to us. And as far as the future, my goal really is just to be where we're needed. There's a lot of wonderful nonprofits out there. So far, Miracles for Kids seems to be a unique, holistic concept that's needed. And as long as we can advocate for those in need, I'll take it to any community that is willing to have us.
Tell us about your Pillars Stability Program.
So that's the 5th in our core programs. It was launched in pilot form January this year, 2023. And our focus with that is to go beyond basic needs. So our programs right now really cover what's needed to put food on the table, gas in the car, keep a roof over your head. We offer therapy programs, wellness programs to get kids out of the hospital and out of their homes. We clothe, we feed, we do all of those things that really keep you stable. But what we're really wanting to do, in addition to the core programs that we've run for nearly 2 decades now, is to focus on families as they transition out of our support. What they really need is financial literacy, jobs, and education. Those 3 things are the pillars of the new program that we launched earlier this year. And as we build ties in the communities with our banking friends, with those that work in the employment industry, with the referral industry, the job placement industry, we're really excited about the opportunity to continue to identify more families who are ready and able, maybe now that their child's a bit more stable, to get back out there so that they can be contributing members of society, which is, of course, what they want and what we want for them.
Absolutely. To go back to the clinical aspects here, what appear to be the leading critical illnesses that you're dealing with, and also maybe some of these leading causes of death among children, the younger versus the older age groups that you're whose families you're helping?
I think because on any given year, our population is north of 50% battling cancer, regardless of the age group, that continues to be the one that we do see the most. Having said that, that is also the one that has the greatest support in research and treatment because it's more well known than maybe some others that are rare and the medical industry is still trying to get their arms around. Cancer is treatable largely for leukemia and some of these other ones. The good news with that is that though we see it more often, we also see more remission in those spaces. We do also support those, however, that are battling rare muscular diseases like muscular dystrophy and others that are really more, they're not only chronic, but if you can't manage the symptoms, they can become life-threatening and they can be fatal. So we take all of those on a case-by-case basis because, of course, every child is unique and the disease they are facing is unique, and the manifestation of that disease in their body is unique. So we really try to keep an open mind and listen to the physicians and learn about each child and each disease before we consider what kind of support they need.
What are you learning about the extent to which the number of children with a life-threatening illness has grown, decreased, or stabilized through the years? And how is that explained, that trend line?
I'm not in the medical industry and I'm not a doctor myself, so I'm going to put that question to the side because I'm not certain I'm qualified to answer it. But with regard to supply and demand, we have wait lists at all of our hospitals for families who've been impacted by their child's illness and the family's ability to remain stable during what is, for cancer and many others, especially organ transplant, years and years of diagnosis and treatment, and then follow-ups depending on the success of the treatment. You know, on average, families are with us for 4 years. So what we're seeing is that it is not only debilitating once you are diagnosed and begin the treatment process, but families take years to recover financially, mentally, emotionally from the impact of their child's illness. So we see that there is demand for support and for continual support, walking alongside them as they get back to where they were.
So I understand the CDC estimates that 4% of children under 18 are not covered by health insurance. I'm guessing they're not eligible for the CHIP program, which stands for Children's Health Insurance Program, or Medicaid and the state block grants that they get. So if so, what can be done to help close this insurance gap? I'm sure that this is an issue that is top of mind. You're seeing it firsthand as boots on the ground in helping families to try to be as financially whole as they can under extremely trying circumstances.
They are incredibly difficult times, especially economically, as we've seen, right? Price of gas, price of milk. I mean, just making ends meet on a day-to-day basis is difficult. And of course, there's insurance copays, even if you can get insurance. What you've listed is a chronic problem nationwide. What we're seeing is simply that whatever bills they are able to pay with whatever is left in their discretionary income, it's just not enough. We have Luckily, children's hospitals throughout the nation will accept a child regardless of their ability to pay, regardless of their insurance. And Miracles for Kids walks alongside those hospitals. While we don't delve directly into the insurance portion itself, we certainly do help families who are struggling to make those copays deal with the payment at the pharmacy for those medications. And we can see the impact of that if they're not covered. And it is devastating.
A related question I have, and in our final minutes, Autumn, any parting thoughts on what generally can be done to help ease the financial sting of healthcare for so many Americans? We live in a country where it's for-profit medicine, and the leading cause of personal bankruptcy is unpaid medical bills. But there's also a push to try to widen access to services and affordable healthcare, which are really meat and potatoes issues that are discussed in every household at the kitchen table. And, you're in the crosshairs of this.
We see every single family struggling to make ends meet, and absolutely the medical impact financially when their child is ill, well, it's just devastating. I mean, it takes their discretionary income. We see families who are struggling to pay bills, lose their home, lose their cars, deplete their savings, lose their jobs. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. And I really feel that access is important, access for everyone. We have families who are unable to even make more because then they become ineligible for certain types of state and federal assistance. And if that happens, even though they have the skill set to do more, the delta between an increased salary and losing the support of the state or federal program that they're in they have to weigh their odds. And very often one is not worth the other because their child needs, in the case that I'm thinking about, their child needs the hearing aid that, you know, is going to help them go to school. But you can't really afford, any of us, honestly, the cost of a hearing aid on a monthly basis. And that's just one small example of the impact. You know, we say around here, health is the great equalizer, right? It does not matter what age you are, where you live, if you have a job or not. It's the one thing that we all struggle to maintain. And it's the one thing that can take us down financially if we're not healthy. So insurance is important. I think everything that you mentioned is important. We need access, we need education, we need to be able to stabilize our communities. It certainly is an area of opportunity for us as a nation.
Autumn, thank you so much for your time. It's been such a pleasure. Best of luck moving forward on this phenomenal cause.
Thank you so much.